Hello, live and in color. Sassy Susie, how you sitting there, hey? And greetings this Friday evening at 11:28. I'm actually 2 minutes early. Ooh, Dave's early for something unbelievable. That's really a good joke if you know the inside story on that one, by the way. But anyway, greetings and love to all you good folks out there. And as usual, there are things that come to me in my little angel messages and so forth that I talk about and my spirit guide and things. And I realized over watching several different videos and hanging out with chat rooms and everybody. Oh, by the way, I do greet you all with the love and honor and the respect that you deserve. And that I always send, honor and blessings your way through the Creator. By the way, I'm sorry, I forgot my opening line. But blessings to every single one of you. And I truly and honestly mean that. Now, I speak about my spirit guide. And when I was a young kid, I talked about my guardian angel. And I talked about this and blah, blah, blah. And everybody's like, yeah, okay, it's an invisible being that nobody can see. And how in the hell do you even know that the thing exists? Sassy, I'm going to get to your question in a minute because it sort of ties in with this, what I'm going to talk about. There are many people out there now, and I have raised my hand as the grown-up in the room and said, are you sure you guys know what you're doing with this stuff as far as remote viewing and all these things? And I listened to Heidi Vandenberg's station tonight, and I listened to Cliff High, who I have a lot of respect and regard for because, well, one, we're about the same age. Actually, I found out tonight he's 64 and I'm 66, but we've both been on a long-term journey of spiritualism. And there are a lot of things that Cliff says about the universe and things that just feel right to me in my spirit sessions, in my meditation, in my studies, and all of the above. So, but anyway, somebody else is actually saying something about this, folks who are remote viewing and things. Supernatural, hi there. It was interesting, wasn't it, Supernatural? And here's the thing about this. When we just, quote, willy-nilly reach out there and say we want to contact somebody, there is absolutely zero proof of what these people are discussing. Now, these people are talented, they're lovely individuals, and I honestly don't think any of them are trying to lie to us. But you can't substantiate anything that they say. Well, I had a thing about Edgar Cayce, and he talked about, and it's like, well, it's really interesting. Listen, but there's nothing that you can substantiate. Now, one of the things that I asked my spirit guide, look, if you want me to talk about some of this stuff, you guys got to give me some proof. You got to give me something to show the people that what I'm talking about. I saw this, I did this. So I've got videos about the blue orbs that I saw in Ohio. I've got two videos actually on when an orb passed over in front of the screen while I was doing a live feed. There are other things, the proof of I did with, I had proof in the friend that was with me, and she called me on the phone while I was doing a live stream about the angel message we got with free gas one night at a local, at a local station and things like that. They give me proof that what they're telling me is true. They give me proof in the 3D reality. Now, I might not be able to take a picture of it every time, but if I get a tap on the shoulder that says there's something in the sky, go outside, we want to show you something, I put on my shoes and go outside or just walk out there or whatever, depending. And I look up and say, okay, what you got for me? And I've seen some astounding things, and I've discussed this. Now, my point to, if you're asking your angel or your spirit guide, and they're giving you information, is it the same one? Is there a stand? Now, I ask these questions because they need to be asked. Folks need to be asking this question. Are you sure that the connection you got is like not trying to feed you full of BS? Because some of these people who do these remote viewings, it hurts me to listen to them because there's something coming out that they're trying to tell me. The whole thing just seems like it's some kind of And I don't think they're trying to lie. This is very important. But I do think that the entity that they're speaking with is telling lies and is telling what the person wants to hear. And some of this is that a lot of the information that we see or foresee, a lot of times is already planted in our heads. Now, I disagree with some folks in that, can you actually get information out of the quantum reality that nobody's ever seen before? And I say yes. And I've talked about it in my experience as an engineer working for a major tier one automotive company. I've been in plants in Detroit. I've been in the Chrysler plants and Ford plants. I've been in Windsor, the Ford engine plant there in Windsor, Ontario. I've been, to different plants in around Toronto. I have been at these different places, and I've worked with some of these bigwigs, and they're really not as smart as they claim to be. But the thing is that an issue would come up, and I would send it out to the universe, and I would ask my guardian angel, any help you can give me on this? And I'm here to tell you, I've come up with some stuff that 20 engineers said that you can't do that. And I proved them all wrong, simply because I didn't believe that it couldn't be done. But in their engineering and what they knew, and for their little short-sightedness, they're always contained within a box. Because I didn't finish my mechanical engineering in school, I finished my mechanical engineering in a machine shop, making things, designing things, drilling holes, fitting things together. And I've had some of these designs. Now, Cliff said that, for example, and I'm not quoting him, but I'm paraphrasing, that we already have some of these things within our mind. So we may not be actually tapping into someone else. And I'm saying yes, because I've looked out there and said, okay, I need some help with this. They claim it can't be done. And I know there's a way around this. I just got to find it. And I get answers through my spirit guide. And they worked. And I proved all them engineers that they have a little faith. You have to have the right understanding and the right this. And I had to work through a couple of technical issues, but that was just it. We just had to work through them. They just claimed that it couldn't be done. Now, I can't get into the specs of it because technically I'm still under oath not to divulge it. But it was a machine that down here in Georgia, we had machines that could bend and terminate a terminal on the end of a spark plug wire for the spark plug, to go on the spark plug and also to go in the distributor. And the folks up in Canada had older machines, and instead of doing it on one machine in a series of actions, they had to do it, crimp it once, and then they had a whole nother machine that had to bend them. And I was like, we got to be able to fix this. Well, I did. It took some time. It took up, I guess about $10,000 worth of seed money for the project we had. But to the point, though, with that, I was able to get some exotic metals and do some exotic things. But the thing is once we made it and once we proved it could be done, it saved another person doing a really crappy job at this stinking machine. And I talked to the people. They hated it. And it was like, please, if you guys can fix this, So, but to the point, long story short, I got the information from out yonder, the engineering code and on the quantum computer, whatever you'd like to say. So there are other issues that I've had issues with when I'm working in theater and I needed to work, we had to do several scene changes and small stage and very little backstage. There ain't none. But to the point that we had to be able to do scene changes and do them quickly and efficiently, store them, still have room for the cast members. And some outlandish ideas came upon me in the middle of the night when I was like, oh my God, yeah, okay, I was smoking a joint. Okay, but to the point though, I was connecting to the higher self, to my spirit guide. Now, people have spirit guides and they're doing remote viewing and things like that. And I gotta say, I love you all, but you need to be careful, please. And for those of you listening to people who are channeling, everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Wow, that's a really interesting story. And you should kind of leave it there because there's being false information put out there on the quantum with beings who are like, whoa, look, somebody's trying to channel me. Who do they want me to be today? Well, I think I'm going to be Elmer Futzbiddle, and I'm going to tell them all about how we're going to make peanut butter sauce with jelly in it, and, boom, and they come in there, and the person, whoa, I can feel the entity, and I can. Now, I would agree that they're feeling an entity, but how can they prove, even to themselves, because they think it is, they feel it is, and those are really good things. But other than being able to close their eyes and look up and go, and I think that this is it, they're spouting stuff. I can do that without going into it, but the thing is I think these people are being lied to by the spirit world. That's where I'm headed with this. Now, when I speak to my spirit guide, or I get my downloads, my angel downloads, there's a certain frequency. It's always in the left ear. It's always kind of like this. And there's a pattern. Now, at 66 years of age, I've had lots of practice talking with my spirit guide, or my guard. I called him, and it was my guardian angel until later. And then it was like, go with the guide, please. I said, okay. But there are times when I'm actually online and I get these little whispers in my ear, like, hey, look, this goes along with what you're trying to say here, Dave. And I think to myself, you, as I have done, and other people do, you can prove whether or not your spirit guide is lying to you. Just perform a little test. Ask them, show me something. If you say, look, I'm going to go for a walk in the woods. Show me something while I'm gone. That's all. And it might be, but what you need to do is allow yourself to be aware of that. And how I got my name of Hawkeye Two Feathers, it seemed like everywhere I went on a walk, I would find at least two feathers. Very seldom would I just find one. And I've found hawk feathers. I've found all kinds of feathers. Woodpecker feathers from woodpeckers that I shouldn't be finding feathers from. But to the point, that's how I got my last name as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And the Hawkeye came in my native name was because I could spot these things from 100 yards away. I have a Hawkeye. And the two feathers was always that I was finding two feathers everywhere I went. Now, there just ain't as many birds as there used to be. I don't find feathers hardly at all anymore because the bird population is like way down. But next to this, though, they would prove to me by the fact that they would give me feathers. And I say, give them to me. I had to look for them, but that was part of my training to understand, to be aware of my guardian angel or my spirit guide. Now, I got 12 acres in behind my house here that right now, thank goodness, it's flooded. Parts of it are flooded again. It's turned back into a swamp the way it's supposed to be. Yay! But to the point, though, there are times when I've been out on a walk and I'll feel this little tap on the shoulder, like, you need to go over there. And I'm like, yeah, but there's no trail over there. Well, go over there anyway. Well, okay, but why? Do you trust me, Hawkeye, or not? Well, okie dokie, we'll go over this way. I have found feathers. I've found deer antlers covered in sand. I mean, there's so many things that I have found physically, so that when I hear that voice from my spirit guide, I know they're talking the truth. And it's happened so many times, I quit counting, But to the point, though, if you're listening, then just ask, look, give me some kind of thing. Maybe it's a feather. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you'll see a bird. Maybe you'll see your animal totem, something. And kind of working out ahead of time, like, well, just not well, I found a piece of paper. Ooh, spirit guide's talking to me. Nah, no, come on. Pick something that really works with you and your guide, and ask them, please show me that you're real. Show me that when I listen to you, that there's something concrete. Excuse me. Drink a coffee here, please. And it's not like, oh, what's your name? Well, my angel's name is piss poor, and I got a piss poor spirit guide. Oh, okay, sorry about that. I'm trying to make a little bit of humor here, But to the point, well, it's like, what? Your name is Piss Poor? What? Huh? Well, it's not about names because it is about a feeling. I know when it's this spirit guide, there is a frequency, and maybe it is my higher self just going up and talking with the the spirit collective, if you will. And I like to think of it more in terms of the quantum computer, and Cliff High talks about this as well in some of his videos that he kind of believes in, and I do. I've been talking about the quantum up here. I've called it a radio station, called it different things. It's up here somewhere, when maybe it's not, but to the point, it kind of feels up here anyway. But with that said, though, it's like when I get a feeling of something, I'll also kind of like, is there any proof to go along with that? You want me to talk about this subject? What's in there for with me? Now, going to Sassy Susie, if you're still here, my darling, and I say that with utmost of respect because I'm a Southern gentleman, and when you call someone darling, that's a very nice thing to say, but not kind of sexual thingy. But anyway, I'm an old time, Southern gentleman here. But so it's like the dark energy thing with the hurricane of dark energy that's coming through. Now, many of us have been talking about these waves of energy. And back in the late 80s and early 90s, they told us we were going to go through a very thick patch in the galaxy. Our solar system was headed through it. Brian and Trina brought it up on Milky Way Weekly. And it's like, yeah. And, Brian was like, they've been talking about two galaxies colliding. They've been talking about that same thing. They keep bringing the story out every so many years. Ooh, the galaxies are colliding. That story's so old now, I don't even pay attention to it because it came out in the late 60s. Ooh, the galaxies are colliding. Well, after 50 years, they should be. And, but to the point, it's like, that's an old story. That's an old story. But those of us, we need to remember now this dark matter hurricane. Well, can we see what's coming? Well, they're waves of energy. Can we see it? Well, then that could mean that it's dark. Is it a hurricane? Well, if it's a great big wave, you could say it's a tsunami. We're getting, and we're supposed to be on the third of 5 waves that are supposed to be coming in. And a lot of different areas I check seems to be that's what it is, with a lot of smaller ripples in between, by the way. But this dark energy hurricane, in my opinion, is just another description of the same thing. It's dark because we can't see it. We could see it with certain instruments because how do they know it's there? Okay, now I agree it's there. Is it a hurricane? Is it a tsunami? Is it a wave? We'll see. We are all feeling the effects of it. That's for damn sure. Everybody's some folks are going back crap cray cray. And some folks are like, this is interesting. Now I can realize that I have been awakened in certain ways that my awareness is just like sharper. I don't know how else to put it. It was like when I did a little talk earlier about seeing critters in the woods. And it was like I saw something without my glasses or field binoculars, a football field away. And it was like my trained eye was really, and I had to turn on my telescopic lenses in my eyeballs, to see over there. Sure enough, there was some geese over there. And if my awareness was less, I don't believe I would have spotted them. Simply because it was way off and it was but because my awareness, and I've been working on it for a while now to increase it. And I've sometimes wondered, how in the hell can I increase it? I'm already aware of all these things, okay. But like today I walk out there and I'm noticing woodpeckers and I always notice things like that. But there was a peculiar clearness about what I saw today, just for saying. Now, is that this dark energy, or is this the energy we can't see? And I'm saying this with respect to other people. We don't really know. until it hits us. But folks are going to give stuff names because they have to. We as a society have to give every freaking thing we know a name. There's 12 dimensions. Well, no, maybe there's 14 or 15. Well, why do we have to call them anything? Why don't we just call them layers of reality, layers of understanding? And even the word layer is a word, but at least it describes something you can relate to, like layer on a cake. A thermocline layer in the water, colder water versus warmer water. We can identify with that. If I say something's in the fifth dimension, my first thought goes to the song By the Fifth Dimension, The Dawning of Aquarius. I don't think of in terms of some kind of spatial reality or non-spatial reality or some other kind of thing, because I have no reference as to what dimension is, other than what science fiction and we tell each other, what society has told us about dimensions. But now layers can mean a bunch of stuff. It's a thermo layer, it's a cold layer, it's a warm front layer of air coming in to put rain in the southeast. There are ways we can understand what the layer means. But dimensionally speaking, we don't have a clue. Other people use these terms, and we find ourselves using the same kind of terminology. So with this dark matter hurricane, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Is it going to blow us off the face of the earth? It's already blowing us off the face of the earth. We lost the ozone layer about 2007, 2008. We're losing stuff all the time. Pay attention. It's already started. It has begun. We're in the middle or towards the end of this mess, okay? But we still got a couple years more because of where the planets are, where the solar system is, where the whole galaxy is in the universe. We're in this big thick spot of crap in the universe, and the whole solar system is being drugged through this. Now, I've had my discussion about Nibiru and Planet X, and I do believe there are other planets, and one's probably called Nibiru because it's in some very old text. But to the point is that's what's causing all the trouble. I say I don't believe so, because it's the cosmic energies that are really messing up the solar system, messing with every planet. And you can see that stuff on the radar images and on all the instruments. There is your concrete proof versus a maybe somewhere and a picture of something that somebody's calling Planet X or Nibiru. Let's look at the abundance of other science that says it's the cosmic rays, stupid, that's doing and creating these earth changes. And yes, that would be part of the dark matter hurricane we're in the process of now. And one could say it's a hurricane because the solar winds and the cosmic winds, the galactic winds are very strong. They're being blown up over the earth. Okay. But is it a hurricane, or are they waves of energy, or is it a tsunami? But you see, the thing we can all agree on, maybe not the name, is that something is happening in our solar system. That's what we should be focused on, not the name of it or necessarily how it got here. Let's talk about the effects of it. How are we feeling? Now, I'm seeing people argue about, well, this name, that name, and I'm just saying, let's stop with the name and stuff. Okay, well, we got to call it something just so we can all agree, but let's agree that it doesn't matter what it's called. What matters is that it's happening. That's what matters. We need to focus on how it's changing each one of us. Well, somebody says, well, it's not really changing our DNA. How could it change our DNA? We don't know. But before you spout off and say, well, that can't happen, are you sure? See, I have no box to think out of. I've spoken about this before, and I continue to bring it up because people, they still have constraints in their own reality that keeps them from thinking in a really bigger picture. Oh, late call. Who's calling me on the phone this time of the night? I will get back, Miss Martha. She just got back from a football game. But anyway, yeah, it is Friday night, isn't it? Yep, yep, yep. I'll call you back, Martha. Hang on. But with this though, there are so many people that are trying this channeling and doing this thing, and I feel that they are tapping into something, but I think they're tapping into some falsehoods because some of the people that they interview and all this thing, well, I'm interviewing John F. Kennedy and I'm interviewing, in out there, and I'm thinking to myself, number one, with all the stuff that I've done in contacting angels and talking with my spirit guide, how the hell do I know? Well, because they will give me other proof. I always say if I'm getting a download on something, I look for three, magic number three other people, three other news stories, something that helps prove my point. Now, sometimes I throw stuff out there and I say, well, here it is. We'll see if this is true. The information, I've gone over it. I've shared it with you. What do you think? Then there are those things that say, I say that, well, I've had this verified by three other sources. And some of the things that I've been talking about, now all of a sudden people are changing their word from ascension to transition. And that's what the Galactics asked us to do. Change the word because we are transitioning into ascension. Is it important to learn some of these words? Yeah, because sometimes transition means a whole lot more sense rather than I'm ascending. Oops, all of a sudden, poop, I'm going to be there. Ain't going to happen that way because it doesn't happen that way. We just don't go ploop into someplace else. We might all get plooped with a common energy, and we might all get plooped with an aha moment at relatively the same time. But are we going to get plooped into fifth dimension? It's physically impossible. It would kill us. Too many frequencies, too much other stuff. It would kill us. We can't be plooped into some other dimension. We can transition into it so that we can ascend. Yes, there are steps to everything. Now, I brought up this harmony and so forth and everything, but when you think beyond a garage band, when you think I'm going to play at Carnegie Hall, not just for the neighbors, and then when you do play in Carnegie Hall and you're playing in front of thousands, and I say that because I've done puppet shows for 10 people, and then I've done puppet shows for 500 people. And I'm here to tell you, when you do a show in front of 500 people, those 10 folks are really good, but when you get 500 people laughing at what you're doing and really in tune with it and everything, and their kids are screaming their heads off and wetting their little pants because they're laughing so hard, that is wow. So I ask folks, ask your guardian angel, ask your spirit guide to give you a little bit of proof. Concrete proof, not just another dream, but something that you can feel, taste, or otherwise pick up a feather, or something. It's like, maybe think of something, maybe in your meditation with, okay, all right, all right, guide, I'm going to go out here because I'm getting this message to go for on a walk in the woods. Okay, show me something natural. Show me something that's just a little odd, and tap me on the shoulder. I'm going to be listening. I'm going to be waiting, and give me a tap on the shoulder to let me know that you're there or something. And you'll find out that you can there goes one. And then after a while, when you learn how that's the one you need to listen to and not something else, they will guide you, and they will keep other entities from trying to influence what you're about. So, and for all the people that I continue to say, warning, 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 Will Robinson, please don't go out there and try to connect with beings that are floating around. That, man, you're playing Russian roulette with some serious stuff. Find your spirit guide and talk to them. Make sure they give you little proofs along the way, like I've discussed in my previous videos. Make sure. Now for me, they left me so many feathers. I had such a collection. It was like a storm came along and blew some of them back outside where they belong. But to the point, for me, It was like, there's two more feathers for you, Dave. Hey, Hawkeye, look over there. Ooh, oh, son of a gun, there's two feathers like laying side by side. Told you there'd be something here. Now, I say that because sometimes they'd say, well, you need to stop over here and see a friend. I'd get out of my truck and look down, there'd be two feathers. You need to go help this person. You haven't talked to them in a while. They haven't answered your phone. Go see them. You get out of my truck, close the door, and as I'm walking up to the door, there's feathers on the ground. Just two, not more or less, but two. And so that was my answer. That's why I got my name, Hawkeye Two Feathers. So with that said, your spirit guide, if they're really, 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 really true, if your guardian angel is really, 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 really true and not feeding you a bunch of bunk, they will give you signs in the heavens, in the stars, in the earth, with people. Somebody might call you out of the blue, and you'll get the little voice in your head to go, "See, I told you they'd call you." Or you think real hard about a cousin or an aunt or an uncle or something, and you wish that they would call you. And then a day or two later, you get a phone call. And then the familiar tap to me says, "See, I told you, if you just thought about them hard enough, they'll call you." And that's happened too many times. So there's a lots of ways, and it's not about tricking your guide. It ain't about that. It's about telling me the truth every time I hear that little download voice of yours. I want to believe you 100% of the time. And your spirit guide knows that. But now, if you're out there, and there's been times in earlier on in my walk of life, my spirit guide left my ass. I was being such a expletive, deleted, nasty words, insert string here of cuss words. And I was that. And they abandoned me. And quite rightly, they should have, because I abandoned them. I quit listening. So there are times when you go, well, why didn't my guardian angel? Why didn't he step in? Well, did he warn you ahead of time and you just said, well, I'm going to do this anyway? Well, then tough shit, suffer whatever the consequences are. If you're not going to listen to your guide or your angel, if they're going to warn you about something and you just go ahead and choose to do it anyway, well, then suffer the consequences. When I listen to my guardian angel, they're like, stay away from there. Don't go out there and do this, just saying. Go play if you want to, but I'm just saying, But if you don't listen, then I get in trouble. So it's like other people are doing the same thing. And I mean this with the utmost of respect for people, because a lot of people are tuning in, and because of society and other things, and what I have been calling a new age type of reality thought kind of process versus ancient. And I'm not cutting anybody down by using that, but there are a lot of shortcuts being taken by folk. And those shortcuts aren't good. All right. I've talked about my shamanic journey, but it's based on all the other shamans I've known. Okay. And other shamans and other teachings and etc. So to the point, though, it's not just how I've learned it. It's how many, many others, millions over the years, the centuries and so forth, have walked a shamanic path. Okay. So with that said, I mean that because everybody, you got to find your voice. You got to find that consistency in the spirit world, but don't go looking for more than one. Pick your guardian angel and stick there. You got a question about Edgar Cayce? Ask your spirit guide. You want to know about John F. Kennedy? Ask your spirit guide. Don't go trying to ask JFK. He's very well reincarnated in another planet somewhere, in another reality, or maybe another 3D dimension, 51200. I'm sorry, but I'm going to channel JFK. What if he's freaking busy? I have to ask the question. Well, I'm going to channel him. And by the way, he just happened to be available. I just have to go, hang on, guys. I listen to my angels. I listen to Mother Mary. She comes. She's a separate entity that comes and visits me. But my spirit guide's always there. And so are you tapping into your spirit guide and he's just speaking to you in JFK's voice? or is there an entity flying around just waiting for some clodhead to go, I'm gonna channel tonight, and ooh, I'm putting down JFK if you can hear me, blah blah blah. And so there's some entity going out there going, who's JFK? So they enter into your aura, into your area, so that you can channel them, and they pick your brain from the stuff you already know. Are you sure it's JFK? None of us can prove it unless JFK tells us to go look under a rock somewhere and there's a note he left 40 years ago. I'm just saying. That's what my spirit guide does for me. I'm going to prove this to you. Go out, blah, blah, blah. And if you go over this direction, which is not normally where you go, I find things, deer antlers, stuff like, I'd have never found this if my spirit had not kind of directed me to go over to my left. It's happened so many. This happened 50, 100 times. Oh gosh, I quit counting. But the thing is that when you tune into it, when you know for sure that it's your spirit guide and not some wandering, I was going to say wandering Jew because I've got a lot of the plant called wandering Jew that's taken over my garden. And I was thinking wandering Jew because these things wander all over my yard. And now they're all over the woods. And it all came from a plant I brought home one time. But to the point, though, and I don't mean that against the Jews. It's just anyway, but you follow my point. So with that, are you picking up a wandering Jew in the thought process out there? And is your spirit guide trying to scream at you, don't do this? No, don't. Bad idea. And you just go ahead and do it anyway. And this is the download I got. And, and I mean it. I know I'm picking on some of these folks, but I've tried my best to listen. And when, it would be easier if you just said, I contacted a being, not sure what his name was, but he told me stuff about JFK. I would believe that more than you're trying to tell me you actually connected of all the gazillions of spirits in the other realms that you, in your whatever, picked JFK out of the bunch. And he wasn't doing anything, by the way, so he could come and inhabit your body so you could do a download. It just sounds stupid. It doesn't sound crazy. It sounds stupid. But nothing can be verified. Now, when Edgar Cayce did his thing, he went as himself as the spirit and saw these people and spoke about these people. There was proof of what Edgar Cayce did. There was proof of what other people have done. And that's my point. Edgar Cayce contacted his spirit guide and his higher self and physically went and saw these people in the spirit realm and could heal them by telling them how to change their diet or whatever needed to be. So there was proof behind what Cayce did. And there were many Christians that I met down here in South Georgia when I first moved up here who were wouldn't believe in a UFO, but they believed 150% in Edgar Cayce. They had his works, they had his books, they could repeat recipes. And he was old-time Baptist folk out in the country that you wouldn't know squat. They knew who Edgar Cayce was, and they believed him because he was consistent. Now, other people, and I ain't naming names, but everyone that I've tried to listen to is like, well, I tuned into such and such. And it's like, but how do you know? That's a really good story you just told me. And looks like you did connect with some higher being, but I gotta ask, how do you flipping know? And nobody's giving me enough proof to say, well, yeah, you really did talk to Lee Harvey Oswald, or yeah, you really did talk to such and such. And I'm like, what? And I think that because of this, what's going on, people are accessing a higher self, but these beings that are pretending to be these entities are false. You're not. Can I speak to my grandmother? I knew my grandmother. I knew what my grandmother smelled like. I knew where her thought process was. If I got in touch with Granny, I'd know it was Granny. Now, I never met JFK, so if I said I'm going to channel JFK, how am I going to know it was JFK? In my own spirit and self, I didn't know the man. I never shook hands with him. I've seen pictures. He was in Tampa when I was in school, and quite right after his visit to Tampa, he went to Dallas and got murdered. And so it's like, but I never met him. So how can I even begin to say I know that I got a hold of the guy? I never knew him. But my grandma, my friends that have passed before me, there is a feeling because I have witnessed them on this planet in a 3D reality. So I know their essence. I can feel them. I understand that. And I can tell whether or not it's true or not. So are all these people full of baloney? I think the entities telling them the stories are full of baloney. I think these people are channeling, but I don't think they're channeling who they think they are. I think the spirits are just flat out having a big ass time with these people, and it's a big joke to them on the higher levels because I'm kind of getting. I keep having to talk about this because they keep bringing it up to me, and that people, you need to be very, very careful, please. I love you. I want you to stay sane. I want you to learn how to get to the true source, which is always available. And I want you to be intimate with your guardian angel and your spirit guide. Know them, understand them, know what the feeling is, know what the smell is. Why would you want to channel anything you didn't know? How are you going to know? I mean, just stop. Think about it. Now, your guardian angel has been with you since you were born. Now, could that be your higher self? Yeah. Could my spirit guide actually be my higher self? Yes, it could. Is it a separate entity? There are times when I kind of think it is, but that's my own personal. And I will tell you, it personally, this is how I feel about this. But there are people out there trying to instruct others how to do this when they don't know what they're doing themselves. They're claiming they know how. They're claiming they have done these things when they cannot prove anything except their story. And they don't prove the story. Well, I said it, therefore I proved it. Well, no. And they want other people to do it. And I'm saying, don't do that, please. Get in touch with your spirit guide, and they will tell you, don't do that shit. You are messing in a world of mess you don't need to mess in. And until you are so very, very spiritually strong, I mean, even sorcerers wouldn't do it. You go back. No, the sorcerer's like, I'm not going to conjure anything and possess. No, are you nuts? Being controlled by another entity and people are volunteering for this? Stop it. You ain't got a clue what's out there. You're just starting to learn. Warning, warning, warning. If you wish to get in touch with a spirit, get in touch with your own. Stay focused, stay centered, stay in the frequency that you are. But when you go out there asking for somebody else to come in and give you some insight, you are literally asking for somebody to take a hatchet to your head, a machete to your body. You are asking for the beating of a lifetime. Please don't be so silly, stupid that you follow some of this stuff. There are some nasty entities out there just waiting on a gullible SOB to go, I'm going to channel JFK. Please don't do it. I beg of you, for your own sanity and your own safety, talk to your own angel. Ask them. They'll provide a lot of information once you get the connection right. And stick with that. If you want to know about another topic, ask your spirit guide to tell you, help you with the information about it. It will come to you. But for God's sakes, please stop asking these other entities to come into you so that you can channel them. Stop it, please. I beg you. What was that serious enough? Just saying. Y'all are messing with something. There's some folks out there. I mean, I'm literally scared shitless for, because they're talking about some. I see their eyes light up when they talk about where they've been, and I'm thinking, oh, Jesus. Well, I've got my protection and I'm wearing a crystal, and you're in deep doo doo because you have no idea that this entity, from some of the things you've already discussed in my listening, is creepy. And creepiness shows up when people are, well, I had him in my head, and I could feel it and all this and what I was hearing and telling and stuff. Well, yeah, because they had invaded your own space. So you couldn't discern whether it was good or not. The entity overtook you. So you're channeling the energy. So you ain't got a clue whether or not your own true self agreed with what was going on. When the entity leaves, you're sitting there and you're going, well, it must be true because I felt it. Well, it must be true because, they left that feeling that it must be true in you. It's the residual. Well, I just channeled JFK and I can feel it in here. Yeah, because they left part of their damned energy in you when you channeled them. Of course you feel it. And so those folks who go out and channel all these other different kind of entities, they're really getting messed up. And I pray for them folks highly. And in fact, I had to quit listening to some of these folk because some of the things they were saying was just so unbelievably creepy. And I've walked with spirits in the swamps. Talk about creepy things that I've seen. But I'm hearing these people, and there's something that is horribly unreal about what they're telling me, or what they are relating. Horribly unworldly. And I mean that with a large stop sign, caution, don't go there, bridge out. Because if you've allowed a possession to come into you, and that's what it is, if you're channeling something, you're being possessed. Are you serious? You want another entity to possess you at all? Your spirit angel, your spirit guide is a part of you. So there isn't like something else. It's already a part of you because it's your spirit guide. So you're not looking for something else. It's already there. So channel it. That's the one that's supposed to be guarding you. That's the higher guide. That's the higher self. That's the spirit guide, whatever you want to call it. But to the point, go with what's familiar. For God's sakes, don't let somebody in. Would you just open up? Somebody knocks at the door and says, "Hi, I'm the spirit of JFK." Do you open the door and say, "Come on in, fix yourself a drink, bathroom's down the hall"? No. So for God's sakes, why would you allow another entity that you've not had contact with and that you're really not sure of into your body, mind, or occupy your space? It'd be bad enough to have them in the house, let alone come into my head or in my aura or my space. Are you kidding me? People aren't really thinking this through. You want to talk to the angels? Pick one. Stick with the one. Pick your angel. But don't go just milly mouth. Well, I'm going to go out. It's like, I really need a date for tonight. So I'm going to go out on the street and just troll for guys or girls or whatever. Woo, she looks good. Well, come on over. No. Please do yourself a favor. This isn't like a blind date. It's 100 million times worse. You want them to overtake you in somewhere so that you can channel them. They get to channel you. They get to feed off of your energy. And once that entity touches your soul, they got you. They know your IP address. They know your frequency. And that sumbitch can come back and get in there anytime he wants to. You don't know. Well, I'm channeling JFK's brother, RFK. How are you going to know? It could be the same malevolent one that's hanging out going, he thinks he thought I was JFK. Now I'm going to be his brother. And how are you going to know? I know when my spirit guide changed. I know when I felt the loss. And I can feel when other entities are trying to attack me, get in or whatever. And what do I do? I call upon my spirit guide and my guardian angel, help protect me from these outside forces. And now there are people wishing them in, allowing them, calling out into the universe for these things to enter into them so they can check. I'm going to go fishing in a little rowboat with holes in it. And I'm going to hope that the duct tape helps. But I'm going to go out in the middle of the ocean in a rowboat with holes in it with duct tape covering the holes. But I'm going to be safe. I'm good. Not even going to wear a life preserver, not even going to take a personal flotation device. No PFD for me. Well, I got this. Would you be so silly as to do some of these 3D things? Someone knocks at the door. Hello. Hi, I'm the ghost of Lee Harvey Oswald. I came for a visit. Come on in, Lee. I never thought you did that, Tell me about it. Really? Have you ever met the entity? No. How do you know it's him? No, I don't know. Well, said he was. How many scam artists are out there in this 3D world? And you don't think there's scam artists in the spirit world? Okay, I've beat folks up enough about this. Use your common sense. You want to know about an entity? Ask the one you trust. You want to know about a situation? Ask the one you rely on, because you've asked them to give you some proof in your 3D world. Show me a feather. Show me a something. Maybe my friend will call. Whatever it might be, is that will be your signal. Some bitch, that he was right, or it was right, or they were right, whatever, or I was right in my higher self, however you ever want to put it. But to the point, though, stick with something pretty please. Folks are getting way off track with some of this stuff. They're getting mixed up in the words of it. And I have often said, what I'm preaching is the religion of no religion. There's no religion in this. It is a high spiritual function. Regardless of where you come from, this is a high spiritual function. Does it matter if you're a Jehovah's Witness? No. Does it matter whether or not you studied Buddha? No, it doesn't matter. What do you believe in? I believe in honesty. I believe in truth. I believe in the respect of all beings, even if they don't like me. Okay, your core value is what's there. That's what sends us on the road to nirvana, to heaven, to source. Not by calling in entities. We don't have a flipping clue whether we're right or wrong. We're opening ourselves up into that spiritual world. When if you listen to your spirit guide, the first thing they'll say is, don't do it. Listen to your spirit guide. They'll warn you, don't do this shit. Now, I'm here and I've said this. Now, you can reach these other realms. You can ask for assistance, but ask it through your spirit guide. Always go through the one you trust. Never allow anyone that you don't know or trust into your home, into you, into your thought process. And some of these same people are, well, we're not a part of the matrix. Bullshit. You're part of even a bigger matrix. You've got yourself convinced, and you're trying to teach other people how to do this mindless nonsense that's going to get a bunch of people in trouble because you're convinced you're right. Okay, I'm convinced I'm right too. But my point is, would you allow a stranger into your house? That's the bottom line. Ask your spirit guide, is this a good idea? Connect first with your own spirit guide. Make sure it's the same one or the same entity or the same whatever you wish to go with. I know mine stuck with me. And there was a period of time for several years, like I couldn't feel my spirit guide's presence at all. But I wasn't listening either. I was doing other stuff. I wouldn't have listened if it had been there. But to this point, though, putting yourself out there and saying, well, there are thousands of spirits out there. Well, of course they're okay. And I smudged myself before I did this. You're opening yourself up to a Pandora's box of stuff you ain't got a clue about. Is that a wise decision? I want you to ask yourself very pointedly, is this really a smart idea? Now, I've read, the light workers are getting their ass kicked. Well, some of these people are trying to channel other individuals, and they want to know why they're getting their ass kicked. Stay out of the realm. Don't go there, folks. Well, I got my ass kicked. I was doing this reading, and well, duh. You're inviting your ass to get kicked. And the more you do it, all the special demons out there go, oh, look, there's there's Alice over there. Well, she loves for us to come in and channel with her, and it's like, does Alice know what's going on? Does she realize it? And my point to this, after watching some of these people over the years and what they're doing, and some of this remote viewing, guess what? Some of that is also the same thing. You're tapping into an individual you ain't got a clue about. You want to know about something? Ask your spirit guide. Hey, spirit guide, what's over there in the something something? They'll tell you if it's worthwhile for you to know. If it's something that really you should know. And I say, warning everybody, folks want to know what the future is. Well, I've known what the future is about, and it gives me fucking nightmares. You be careful what you wish for. And I'm sorry I used the F word. But to the point, though, it's scary. Oh, my God, you don't want to know what I've seen. Nobody needs to see what I've seen. People getting burned, and I've talked about this, about the volcanoes from Guatemala. Seeing people and hearing people scream and not being able to get that dream out of my head with the screaming of these people getting baked alive in these ash cocoons. Oh, but let's go play in the spirit realm, because I'm waking up. I mean this. Good for you, and I'm not. That's not sarcastic. It's good. But don't be silly, don't be stupid and go out there and think you're going to, well, I'm going to join this group here and we're going to remote view and I'm going to start channeling. And oh my God, why don't you just stick a knife down your throat? You'd be better off, because at least you'd know what you were doing. Yes, hi there, stay woke. It is scary. And people should be aware that not all beings out there in this other realm are like really nice guys that you should get along with. Something's here in the house again. It just showed up on the screen right in there again. The house has been very active here the last few days. I literally saw a full form shadow when I was doing a video earlier. But with that said, though, people are just, ooh, I'm awake now, and ooh, I got this, and ooh, our open powers. Yeah, but y'all aren't being smart about this. And I know I'm sure I've ticked some people off because they think, well, it's all perfectly okay, and you ain't seen what I've seen. Take the wisdom of an old man who's been through 40 years of this and listen to me. Pay attention, please. I don't wish you any harm. But what you're doing is harmful, not only to yourself, and here's the other deal. If you think you're getting away with it in this 3D reality, wait till you get into this transition and you find out that there's been some weird entity that's been like tailgating your ass and causing havoc in your life. When you thought, well, I thought I was on the right path. Well, you got an entity because you opened up your little brain to, whoa, I'm going to channel something from out yonder. Now they got your IP address. And every time you log into that quantum computer, they know you're there. They set a cookie in your ass so that when you pop into the other realm, whoop, there's Dave. Oh. When I pop into the other realm, they know my spirit guide's standing right down beside me. When I'm out there, they know I'm not looking for anybody else to come in. I might ask for my spirit guide to help me understand something. They will interpret for me. They will contact the being or entity or whatever the subject is that I want to learn about. They will interpret it. But there's only one entity that I let into my head, and that's my spirit guide. because I know the voice, I know the feeling, I know it to be true. But for those of folks who are out there allowing these things to come in, I literally, it scares the shit out of me. I can't watch it anymore. I've tried, and as I've watched, I've asked my spirit guide, "Hey, what about this?" And they're going, "You know not to do that, don't you, Dave?" And my first reaction when I asked the question for myself, "Yo, spirit guide, is this a good idea? Should I try to channel anybody?" And the answer was no. And I was like, "What?" It wasn't think about it. It was no. Oh, well, what about no? Well, how about no? If you want a question, ask me. I'll look for you. Okay. And it's always worked for me. But now other people are too easy to jump on this, quote, new age bandwagon. And they are being woke up. They are being aware of things. I'm applauding them for that. But they're doing stupid shit that they got no business playing with. They're playing with acetylene torch and a match, and with no valve. And once they spark that mess off, they're in deep doo-doo. So I continue to pray for these folks. I know, and they're telling me I'm repeating myself some more, and I need to stop that. But I think you understand. Contact your spirit guide. Let them be the operator for you. Don't allow any other entity anywhere near you. They'll put a tag on you, and there'll be stuff happening. I thought I'm living life good, and how come bad shit keeps following me around? Because you got tagged, dude or dudette. You got tagged, and you dragging something you don't understand because you went out there and invited them in. You invited them in. Oh, you allowed them to set a cookie on your computer. Oh, they know your IP address. Oh. Think on that one, my dear friends. Be careful out there. I love you. Become aware. Do these things. Hey, Quartz, I'm about to wrap this up. You're going to have to watch it back. But to the point, though, use common sense in some of these things. I love it that people are waking up to these new realities and things, but they're not taking the right precautions. And the spirit guides are begging me to tell you people, please don't do this. We're scared for you. And so am I. I am scared for you to go out there and play in this realm. And I talk about how you can do it safely, how to practice in your own home before you go flying out across the universe. Make sure you know what you're doing. You know, when you first learned how to drive a car, if you learned how to drive you go to we were taken to a parking lot on Sunday where this business was closed. So we could drive around and practice parallel parking in a big parking lot with nobody there. And then we went and took the test. Then we went and took the test and all that kind of stuff. But, we practiced first, with a bow and arrow. You don't pick up a bow and arrow and just go, okay, I'm going to hit the target first time. Twang, and now I'm an archer because you picked up a bow and arrow and you shot it once. Now you are an archer. Okay, so what's the difference in anything that you do? I just picked up a mandolin. There's 4 strings times 2. There's 8 strings on this mandolin. Well, how do I play it? Well, not like a guitar. Well, how do I play it then? Well, it's different. Well, yeah, but okay, but I picked up a mandolin and I strummed it. So therefore, now you're a mandolin player and now you can go play in a major band. No. So think about this. You go out there and channel one time, or you go out there into the realm and go, woo, this is fun. And then you think you're an expert at this. After the last 60 years of my life going through this, I'm not an expert in anything except being aware and understanding there's some crazy stuff out there, and people are wandering around now thinking they got it. Oh, I'm wearing my crystal. I got it. I fear for their sanity. I fear for their lives. I fear for their soul because they are being tainted by other individual type entities. I'm serious. It scares the crap out of me. And folks just willy-nilly are like, well, we're going to go do it again. Well, let's all, next Friday, we're all going to get together and we're going to do some channeling. Whoa, Lord have mercy. I just go, please don't, please don't, please don't, please, please, please. I hope your computer breaks on Friday. Please don't do this in front of God and everybody. Please don't do this. But I have to keep my mouth shut in those chat rooms. I never say anything negative, but I always tell people, are you sure? Are you absolutely positive? And the thing is that where's your proof? I've explained my proof. I used to get 2 feathers all the time. I used to get this. I asked my spirit guide, give me some physical proof so I can prove to myself that I'm listening to the right one. That's the deal. You want to make sure that your connection with your higher self or guide is the right one and that they're telling you the truth. So test your guide, test your angel. Say, I know you love me, but just give me a little bit of proof. It'll be only for you. You'll go, holy shit, that's for me. Okay. Maybe a thought will come into your head, and then 2 days later something happens. Oh, that was meant for me. And then you'll know. And the more that you practice that, stay in tune with your higher self and your own spirit guide. Don't go out there looking for a rambly bunch of nonsense out there. You're going to pick up some hobo or a bum in the middle of the street. Come on in. Hey, the wife's upstairs. Go on up. We'll share the bed with you. If you're shared another entity, it's worse than letting them sleep with your wife or climbing into bed. Come on here. I know I'm repeating myself some more, but people need to be careful, please. And if you know somebody who is channeling, tap them on the shoulder and be the grown-up in the room and say, Missy, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should just talk to your own spirit guide. Or Rudolph, do me a favor. Try not to, want to channel. I mean, who in their right mind wants to channel, I'm sorry, but a serial killer? Oh, somebody was channeling, what was his name that did the, with the swastika in his forehead? Charles Manson. They're like, we're gonna channel Charles Manson. What? Oh, I'm gonna channel Hitler. What? Oh yeah, it's okay. Hitler told me all these things. It was really groovy. What? And you want me to believe you? Oh well, Hitler, he was really a nice guy. He had a rough childhood. What? Now, number one, whether or not you thought Hitler or Charles Manson, and I mean there are folks out there who have done this and want us to believe that, well, they weren't affected by a negative energy. Come on, Charles Manson, he was a little kooky, and you're going to channel his spirit? What do you think changed? What, there's no negative you're going to absorb when you try to do this? Oh, I'm going to talk to Hitler. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to have my spirit guide dial the number. He's going to hold the phone for me. He's going to interpret it. I ain't talking to shit, but my spirit dude will. But now I say this in a little bit of jest and some fun and stuff, and I'm trying to present another point of view on this thing, but that's the point. These people are doing stuff that's like, if they were to do this in the 3D world, it's like, hey, why don't you put on every piece of jewelry you got and then go borrow some from the local jewelry and walk through the worst section of town without a gun or a baseball bat and think you're going to make it to the end of the street without getting robbed? Duh. Oh, come on, let's go through South Chicago, and I'm going to wear a big gold necklace. You ain't going to make it 10 feet with a brand new pair of tennis shoes, let alone anything else. I've been to the south side of Chicago. It's crazy. But to the point, though, is like, what? So you're going to send your spirit out there in an unknown universe with all your gold and bling on, meaning your spirit and your consciousness and yourself your soul, and you're just going to say, okay, let's let a gangbanger in. I'm going to channel, I want to channel Adolf Hitler. I think this is fun. We're all going to get a kick out of this, ain't we, y'all? Are you serious? And yes, they are. And I have to say, you people are nuts. I don't care if it's the spirit of Jesus Christ. I don't want anybody coming in. I am me. I'm connected with my spirit guide. Now, would I like to talk with JC? Absolutely. Come on, buddy, sit down. But do I want them to be a part of a channeling session? No. It would be disrespectful for them, number one, and highly stupid of me to think that JC's got nothing better to do than to be hanging around and let me channel him. Really? And there are people in different realms and different places. Yeah, this is just fine. Come on, everybody. We'll show you how to do it. Oh my God. Come on, let's all jump off the cliff like lemmings, and let's all destroy our own spirit and our soul because we wish to practice some of these things. When the people who are doing it don't understand what they're doing themselves, but they claim they do. And that's because the entities who have entered them have left a cookie, have left a drop of their nastiness in them. And so they do believe they talked with Hitler. They do believe they talked with Lee Harvey. They do believe that, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'd rather talk to Lee Harvey because I think he was a patsy in the deal. But to the point, I don't want anybody coming into my head. I have enough trouble with my own. Please, thank you. Regardless if they're good or bad. Because the bottom line is, how am I going to know it's really them? I have no proof of self. Would I channel my grandmother? No. I would ask if my grandmother would come and we could speak through my spirit guide. Am I going to channel them? No. I know my grandmother. I know her spirit. I know she smells like rose water. I mean, I know Granny. But would I want to channel her? No. I will ask to call her on my psychic phone from the other side, and we'll have a chat that way through my spirit guide. But am I going to channel? No, she was my granny. What the hell do I want Granny in my head for? Even though I loved her, I don't want her in my head. And I'm sure she doesn't want in mine, but that's another side of that coin. So you got to understand that some of this stuff is going on. I'm sorry, I just got to call bullshit on. You know what I'm saying? It's just plain old bullshit. Can't prove a dime of it. Can't prove one sentence. Can't prove anything. Oh, well, JFK said this and blah, blah, blah. Well, could you go and look under a stone and find something? My spirit guide sends me on little treasure hunts all the time. I actually found something many hundreds of times now over my lifetime. I go there. They tell me you're going to get something. Go to this spot, look over here, and there I get it. I get it in a 3D. So I know the information's good. So there's times when I get a heavy download of something, I'm going, you got to give me some help here. I need maybe 4 references instead of just 3 on this one, please. But to the same point, though, we must warn other people. Please don't do that. Well, I know what I'm doing. No, the fuck you don't. Because if you knew what you were doing, you wouldn't do it. People of sorcery and of witchcraft and of people of high into that kind of deal don't do it because they know what the ramifications and the side effects are. They don't do it. You never hear of the sorcerer going, whoa, I'm going to allow this entity. No, they conjure a demon or another spirit from another realm to influence somebody else because they know how dangerous it is if the damn thing even gets close to them. So these newbies out there are going to go like, it's okay. Because what you call it told me to. It's okay. Well, nothing happened last time. Well, how do you know? You don't know. Because that entity took over a part of you and put in information and you feel all happy, warm, and fuzzy about. Because they left that in you. So how can you tell whether or not now it's your own true feeling or if it's the residual of some entity that you allowed to come into you during your channeling session or whatever session. Does that make any sense? I know it scares the crap out of me. I've been out there on the astral plane. I see some of these big ass monsters and some of these nasty things. And I've seen them manifest in the 3D world. It will scare the shit out of you. You will clean your drawers and wipe and clean some more. You didn't think you had so much in you. These things will scare you that badly. And for folks to just go out there willy-nilly and volunteer, come on in, I'm going to channel such and such. When you ain't got a, do you have their phone number? Do you have their phone number to the other side? Are you sure? Did you check the directory? I'm just asking. I mean, yeah, that sounds silly, but are you going to say, well, I'm going to talk to JFK that says JFK in the Moultrie phone book? Well, but JFK didn't live in Moultrie. Yeah, well, there's a JFK in Moultrie. I'm going to call that number. It must be him. Doesn't that's just as stupid. But these folks aren't even using a phone book. Well, JFK, okay, JFK, a gazillion trillion beings in the universe, and JFK is the one that ain't doing shit, going to come and talk through you. Does it really sound ludicrous when I put it in different terminology? Can you do it? Yeah. Is it a good idea? No. Is it a good idea to walk barefoot across, a hot burning flames and coals? No, not without practice. Can you do it? Yeah. But it takes practice, it takes willpower, it takes, but can you just, the natives who have been walking across hot coals, and I've got a scar from where I had to do my fire ceremony, and most of the scar is gone actually, and I burned the shit out of it on purpose. Never felt the first bit of pain until later, until after the ceremony. But during the ceremony, I had a burn spot on my hand that was this big right there. There's a white scar right there on my hand. That was my trial by fire. And the whole point was that you won't feel it burn. I didn't feel any pain during it whatsoever. But for 2 weeks after the ceremony, if it just got in the sunlight, it felt like my whole hand was on fire. But that was my ceremony and fire and so forth. But anyway, to the point though, I had my protection. I had done my ceremonies. And even then, there were entities trying to get at me, even in my circle of light, in all the preparation that I did. There were entities trying to get in to hurt me. And I was trying to keep them out. So people who are just going, come on in. Oh my God, you have no idea. There's probably a line around the block going, woo, Alice is ready again. She's going to do another channeling. My turn. I'm trying to be ridiculous with this because people are looking at this thing as like, well, it's okay. No, it's ridiculous for you to think that way. Somebody's got to be the grown up in the room and say, you people are dealing with things way beyond your realm and reality. You got no business, please. And you should tell other people. You should. It is your duty, because if you understand any of this, what I'm talking about right now, it's a bad idea. What you may say is, Alice, when was the last time you spoke to your spirit guide? What do you mean? Well, you got a spirit guide, don't you? Well, yeah. When was the last time you had a good conversation? When was the last time you channeled your own spirit guide? Well, I don't know. He was there. I get these little... No, hang on. I'm asking you a serious question, and I mean this. When was the last time you had a serious channeling with your own angel, your own spirit guide? Well, I don't know. Well, you're busy looking for other people to channel, but you won't even channel your own spirit guide? Well, I don't say this. I know it's there, and they come up with all these frivolous excuses. But I'm going to channel, Tonto and the Lone Ranger next week. Y'all tune in. What? Oh yeah, I'm gonna channel Robin Williams. I had Robin Williams channel me and tell me some stuff. And I was like, what? When I tried to bring it up to people, I was like, he came to me and told me these things after he passed away. And these things aren't adding up. And nobody really looked into Robin Williams and why he died and how he died and all these kinds of things. Oh, well, he was, he hung himself over a door. That is like, okay, all right. I've tried to hang myself. It's difficult. And over a door? You got to like really be seriously. I mean, it's like trying to choke yourself with your own two hands. You give up after a while. You pass out, then you keep breathing. But what? So, but when I tried to bring something, oh, well, you didn't really channel him. No, I didn't channel him. His spirit came to me because we have a like kind of personality. I was doing things that Robin Williams did before I ever knew who Robin Williams was. And we have a similar kind of character. This thick makeup stuff and playing in the room. And I've played so many big characters in theater and so forth. If you added them all up, thousands of hours that I've been on stage. And I do this, because I enjoy it, but I'm a lot like, that he was. And so, I was like, Robin, my friend, how come nobody's asking about this? And he was like, through my spirit guide, it was like he was sitting here in a room talking to me going, man, they gave me a raw deal, and I tried to speak about it, but everybody was like, well, there's something fishy, but they just all passed it under the rug. Well, Robin Williams, I still don't believe it. But anyway, to the point though, but who believes me? But it was just me, my I had this feeling. Okay, I could hear his voice. I could hear his laughter, but I wasn't trying to channel him. I was in my own self, but I could still hear it. It was because he was speaking with my spirit guide and they were attached and I was getting the information through my spirit guide, but it was Robin Williams. And I've had visits from other folks, but that one in particular was just like, okay, but anyway. And I think it had to do with my frequency and his frequency. And I think we had met in a previous life. But anyway, we're both comedians, a lot of other stuff there. But to the point, though, it's like I didn't ask to channel him and allow the spirit to overtake me. I asked, is his spirit out there? And what does he have to say? So I never lost my reality. But these other people are going into this channeling session and they don't know who they are. At least that's what they say. Now, can I trust what they're actually saying? Are they really in a trance? I mean, you got to ask these questions. I mean, that's what Houdini did. He went around and talked with all these mediums and everything about being able to seances and speaking into the spirit world. He never found anybody. But he was spiritual in himself. And I would bet you any money if you'd truly met Houdini and some of the magic acts he did, because me and some friends back in high school used to try to duplicate some of his magic tricks. They're tough. His escape artistry stuff, it's tough. It's not easy. And whatever Houdini had, he had a little bit of spiritual on the side. He had a really good guardian angel over him, because still, well, he had a little pick and he picked the lock. Well, when you got to reach through something and pick a lock and you're 30 feet underwater because they just threw your ass off of a bridge and now you're in a trunk with, locked up with chains, and then you come out, you can practice all you want to, but there's still another part in there. Houdini knew it, but he also wanted to show the rest of the world that all these fake people, well, I'm speaking with your wife. No, you're not. I'm speaking with your dead head. No, you're not. Now, I got to say this. I have met some people who have spoken with spirits on the other side. And what they have told me was 98% accurate. And about my loved one, about their life, and about things. And I'd never met these people. So are there people who are gifted who can do this? Absolutely. But they don't channel the people. They stay in their own realm. A true spiritualist listens to the other spirits. They don't channel them, because if they did, they lose their own contact. And every time they channel, a residue would be left from each one of those spirits. And after a while, these people who channel a lot will be bat crap cray cray because of the residue left by all these entities they've allowed in. Think about it. It is what it is. So I love you all. And let me read a couple of things. Quartz Quantum in the house again. Love you, Quartz. And all you folks, it's supernatural. Let me see what you got to say. Now, like I say, I'm all for everybody learning how to do this. But there's certain things folks are just like, well, no, it's okay because Johnny did it. No, it's not. No, please. There's protocol for these kinds of things. You might be able to fly a hang glider, but that doesn't mean that you're qualified to pilot a 747. Well, I flew, yeah, but so those folks who are doing this stuff, they're on a skateboard trying to ride a Harley 1000. Well, I can ride a skateboard. It's got wheels and I got balance. Therefore, I'm going to jump on this powerful motorcycle. None of that makes sense in the real world. So how come people are making sense of, well, I can channel? Doesn't that sound just as dumb to you? It does to me. But the biggest thing is it's really freaking scary. And, because of the things I've seen. And other people have been warning folks. But here lately, it's like folks are just, well, it's like all the warnings and everything. 2 months went by and now people are right back at doing the same thing again. Well, let's channel JFK again. The first time was stupid. The second time was moronic. And you're going to do it a third time? What is JFK going to tell me through your channeling that you couldn't tell me your spirit guide will speak to you? I will believe you and your spirit guide first before I believe you're trying to channel JFK. Tell me you're talking to your angel self. That I believe. You're talking to JFK? Sorry, ain't buying it. Can't do it. Nah. If you're sitting there and you're talking and you say, what? Okay, ask a question. Then I go back to the same thing. Can you verify any of this? My spirit guide continues to verify for me that the voice I'm hearing, the sensation I get, it's the same one. I say it's a he, but we all have female, male tendencies, but I think that there's more of a male tendency with my particular spirit guide. Not that I'm being sexist, mind you. Let me read what y'all have to say about some of this stuff. Uri Geller, you can make a spoon fold as well. That was one of the magic acts I learned way back when I was doing early theater. You bend the spoon ahead of time and you weaken it, and then you can take your thumb and literally bend it over the end of your finger. It's a really cool trick, but you do it ahead of time. And if you see, they used to hand Uri the spoon and he'd take it. This is the normal spoon and you'd see him do a little thing and then he'd change it to this hand and you could see him work it between his fingers. And he was softening the metal enough to where you didn't know he was doing it unless you understood what he was doing, and then you could catch him in the act. Because when somebody just handed him a spoon without him touching it, he couldn't perform it. He had to touch it and do I'm putting my, karma into the spoon and all this. No, he was using it, manipulating enough. Yeah, he was using his energy to give a little bit of a fracture to that thing and softening up that metal that you didn't know he was doing because of the way he learned how to do it. Now, Marie, I do believe in telekinesis, but Uri wasn't one of them. He just wasn't. There was a Russian lady years ago, and I did a lot of research back in this way back when. Now, I have moved things and scared the crap out of me that I moved them with my mind. But there are other people who I've seen them do it physically in my presence, and I wholeheartedly believe in telekinesis or, the thought transfer to move things. But Uri Geller was not one of them. He was a very, very, very good fake. He was a magician and a sleight of hands. But People still want to say, but I've seen some of the old things, and I know because I've done the same thing in front of people as a magic act and things, and I know that sleight of hand and look over here, and you're not watching what he's doing with the spoon in this hand because he's like over here, and then all of this he changes hands and what? Well, he didn't do anything to the spoon. No, you didn't see him do it to the spoon. So it's like now could Yuri have gotten lucky a couple of times? Yeah, but Yuri wasn't a full telekinesis type of person. I'm sorry. I've looked at all the info, and maybe when I get to my other lifestyle, Yuri will come up and go, "I really could do that." But the evidence was it was too profoundly fake because if I could see it, then it was like, whoop, there you go. But to the point though, I have seen people move objects with their mind. So I believe that it's possible to do. I just don't believe Yuri or that Russian woman could do it. Because when they put them in different circumstances, they could not perform the operation. Well, here's a spoon. Well, wait a minute. Well, what about my spoon? Nope. I'm giving you a fresh spoon, Yuri. Bend it. Couldn't do it. The Russian lady, well, I'm going to move something here, but if they put her in a room with a different kind of table and something else, she couldn't duplicate the same thing. And if you're telekinetic, now being in a room with a lot of electronics could affect you, but to this point, they weren't into any of that, and people didn't understand what that meant. But the folks who were trying to tell us that they were telekinetic and that they could move things couldn't duplicate it. And a true person who has that ability can duplicate it in different ways, forms, and whatever. Now, every time, no, because not every time do you have the chutzpah in you. Sometimes your energy is drained. And I know myself, there are times when it's like really easy to like move something. I look over there, go, holy shit, I really moved that thing. Holy crap, I knocked it over. But anyway, but I believe in the process, just not in those who claim to have been able to do it. Because people who can really do it usually don't tell anybody. They're scared. I moved that with my mind. I don't even want to tell you, Hawkeye, but I know you and we've talked about this stuff, but watch this. Oh shit, what'd you just do? Holy crap. Okay, I get it, yeah, it's for real. So same thing with like mind reading or other kinds of things. There is an ability to do that, but don't let other spirits enter into anything of your space to channel or otherwise. You can call them long distance and get the same information without channeling them. Bad idea. But I suggest that you would seriously consider having frequent chats with your own spirit guide. Open up that communication so you know exactly what the frequency. Every time the little, bell rings or the phone rings or whatever you want to call it, I know it's my spirit guide. It ain't somebody else. And I know that this is a phone call I can trust. It just makes sense. So please be careful. Please be kind. Please spread this information. If you know folks who are trying to delve into this area, please tell them to stop for the reasons I gave. You wouldn't let a stranger into your house. Don't let them into your brain or into your aura. Bad idea, basically. Would you let a hobo or a bum come into your bedroom and spend the night with your wife? No. Well, then don't let them into your brain. Don't channel them. You can ask for them. You can hear them through your interpreter without channeling them. There are different ways to do this to get the same information. And again, I bring up, though, now, if I asked my granny a question, I could expect certain things. And I would be, but if I'm going to channel JFK, how in the flip am I going to know any of what is said by this spirit is true worth a damn? Unless they give me a go here and find this. then I take them for granted. I mean, then I take them for real. I don't take it for granted. Okay, Spirit, you say this is true, then give me one little iota of something that I can say, some bitch, he was right. And if you can't give that to me, then sorry, then it's just information I'm hearing. Everybody could be hearing it. Maybe it's a playback, on the quantum radio out there in space, whatever it may be. But it may not be those kinds of. It may not be the entity that you're asking for. I mean, how do you know? I don't, but I do know my spirit guide. I know when another spirit's trying to mess with me. So are you going to well, I'm not sure if it's a good one or a bad one, but I'm going to go ahead and let them in. Okay, let's have a channeling session. Yeah, car, drive yourself, right. I'm not getting in a car that drives itself either. Ain't going there. If I can't drive it or somebody else behind the wheel, sorry about that. Not to the right thing. But anyway, I think you get my point about this. But please tell your colleagues, cohorts, and other people, please don't do that. You really don't know what, and if they try to blow you off, then they're sunk. Forget it. Pray for them. But at the same time, don't argue with them. If you have to argue with them that it's a bad idea, oh no, it's perfectly safe, quantum. Everything's all right. No, nothing's harmed me before. I'm a perfectly normal person, and only channeled twice a week. But I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with me. Yeah, I believe you. I believe you. Okay. I'll continue to pray for you. I still respect you, but I think you're a fucking idiot for doing so. I'm sorry, I use the F word again. But it's to the point. I think you're stupid. You're trying to take. Now, anybody who knows what them old big giant Lincolns were like back in the 60s and late 50s and maybe even into the 70s, these cars were huge, great big boxes, weighed 4,000 pounds without the engine. I mean, these things were tanks. Loved them, great on the highway. But try to turn a corner in a small parking lot. Oh my God, it's like trying to turn a battleship around in a pond. It's difficult. So it's like somebody who's ridden a bicycle automatically, because they have balance and they've driven a vehicle, that they can jump in a Lincoln Continental the size of 4 Cadillacs. And no. So please pick whatever, 3D example that you want, but show it to your friends who are trying to do this idiotic thing. A real sorcerer, a real witch, a real person who studies either white magic or dark magic ain't gonna channel anything because they understand the dangers. Think about it. I know y'all are, and I love you for it too. I would know who I wanted on channel my only family. I like walking in cemeteries and socialize, and when I'm out and about, keep my home sacred within my own ancestors. Exactly. But you have a tie to your ancestors, and Marie, that's exactly my point. You would know if it's them or not. I would know my granny, but how am I going to know JFK? I don't. It's just I'm taking some spirit's word for it. Come on. Laundry you fold yourself. Now that's a good idea. I feel sometimes, Supernatural says, I feel sometimes my higher self treats me like a mushroom, maybe for a reason at times. Yes, sometimes I want to say, there are stupid things we need to learn, and it's just like somehow we didn't quite get what they wrote on the blackboard, and they tried to tell us later on, but at the same time they go like, and then but something stupid teaches you that lesson. I get it. So just like stupid people in this life, there are stupid people in the spiritual realm. Yeah, not very surprising. There is it super, but you're right. I mean, as above, so below, and in between too. But so let's see. What I see, Quartz, you're so funny. What I channel Santa Claus. Well, depending on the Santa Claus and which country you're from, you're probably going to get a prevert pedophile. But just saying, no, I don't want. Don't take that as a serious question. It was a joke in the form of a question. I understand, but to the point though, it's like which Santa Claus, which culture, which and every year, I mean, my father, before he passed away, he was big and had white hair, and all he needed to do was put on the beard. But he played Santa Claus at Christmas times, and made extra money when he was, his retirement age. So it's like, sure. So what, I could channel Arnie, my dad, and go, well, he was Santa Claus once. And I had a very dear friend of mine that I did theater with, and he was known as the Santa Claus down here around Thomasville, and everybody knew Ron Shanks and his Santa Claus persona. And I mean, he looked like Santa Claus, white beard, white hair. He looked like Santa Claus. He didn't need any makeup or anything, and he passed away as well. But to the point, though, it's like I wouldn't even channel them, and I knew them. You know what I'm saying? So with that, and Marie, I know that folks talk about Uri Geller, and I'm trying not to cut you, but I studied Uri back in the day when Uri was on Johnny Carson. Saw him live on television, and he could, there was shenanigans going on. Okay, just saying. So you can read a book, but it doesn't mean that the book has the truth in it. It's a really good read and it's a really good story. But when you actually saw the man try to do some of these things, he couldn't do them without having performed his little trick beforehand. It was his spoon, or he had to manipulate it before. He always rubbed the spoon. That was so that he could soften it up. I've done it many times. I ran at spoons at one time, but to the point though, he had other talents, but he just bending spoons it was really just a really damn good trick that he did. How you think you wish you had telekinesis? I think about, I grew up with Bewitched, Samantha, ding-a-ling-a-ling, and how she got her nose to twitch. I still don't get it. But, boy, now that would be cool. You know what I'm saying? Archons can latch onto you during channels. So, yes, do it through your spirit guide. Absolutely. And it's not just Archons, though. Quartz. There's so many other entities out there. That's the point. Well, Archons, it is one of thousands of different entities out there. Totally bewitched. Yeah. I only have my father's grave to connect with ancestors. Been first generation Australian, so I respect the ancient ancestors. Good for you, Marie. Honestly, blessings for that. So you respect the ancient ancestors within its land being Aboriginal. So when you seek counsel, you're seeking the right counsel. You're seeking it through the earth, and you're doing it the right way. Absolutely, you know. And that's part of the issue with some of these people. And I spoke about the shaman thing and shamanism 101, and they just want to skip. They want to. They enter first grade and they can print their name with a crayon, and they think they're ready for high school. And it's like, wait a minute, hang on here. There's a lot of stuff in between. A lot of nuances. And are you going to need all the information? Maybe not, but you need to learn certain key things, please, for your own safety and your own well-being. And that's one of the things I don't think these people understand. Those folks like me who bitch about some of this stuff, I want to help these people not get in trouble. Please stop what you're doing so that you don't get harmed, hurt, and otherwise, you may never come back. I'm sorry. And tonight on I mentioned it earlier. Cliff High was on what you call its channel 427 something. Heidi Vanderberg. I think I got that right. Anyway, Heidi, if I got it wrong, I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But Cliff made some very important suggestions, and whether I believe in 100% of what Cliff says, there is truth in what he says, and that actually makes sense. And so, and I forgot trying to remember Heidi's name, what Cliff said, but it was basically about why would you allow these things to happen? If you're on a spiritual journey, why would you ask even people that you knew to share your space? You just wouldn't connect, get that, psychic phone to the heavens going. That's real. I've talked with different entities who've passed before and sent messages on to their loved ones. And like one gentleman, friend of mine, that passed away, it's his son. I sent him a message. Come to find out later on, he had been wondering, why his father left the way he did, and he was killed, and before his father had a chance to make amends with certain things. But his dad had had a conversation with me before he had his accident and was killed. And so I was relaying this, and the message was to me from Sandy. Sandy said, "Hey, look, talk to my son. Tell him, I do love him. I did love him, and I was changed. You're the only one that got to hear that message. Repeat it to him for me." And so I did. But that wasn't a channeling. That was my friend having a conversation with me through my spirit guide. I knew the connection was good. I knew it was my friend Sandy, and I got in touch with his son a day or two later on Facebook, laid it out, sent him a message, and said, your father told me to give you this information. So yeah, I understand it. I get it. I see it. But I didn't go channel him. I did not allow my friend to overtake my personage. Did I hear him? Could I hear his laughter? Oh, unmistakable laugh. Did I hear him? Could I hear him speaking through my moderator or through my, yeah. But I knew his voice. I knew his laugh. So I knew it was him. And the information he gave me was right on, because he wanted me to tell his son. His son was having nightmares about things, and he needed this information from his father. So there was proof in what happened. Not that this entity had come to me and told me stuff. No, I was told stuff, and I followed through on it. And then there was a feedback from what I did, from what I read, what I heard, what I saw in this realm. And then I related. And then it came back. Oh my God, I was thinking about my dad the other day and why didn't he tell us? And then you send me a message 2 days later, and oh my God, you're telling me what I was asking in my dream. You're right. Because he was one of my best friends. And we had a connection. And we still do. And I have a connection with the children. And he asked me to intercede for him like an angel would, because they weren't listening to him. They had tuned out their own father. And one of the things of my message to his children were, I'm trying to speak to you, but you refuse to listen. You didn't listen to me when I was alive. How are you going to hear me now? And it's like when I mentioned that to his daughter, she was like, what? Your dad's trying to speak to you, honey, but you didn't listen to him then, and you're obviously not listening now. You wonder where he is. He's standing right beside you. He's telling me things. Please tell my daughter I was there the other night, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, what? Yeah, but you're not listening. You're listening to all the other stuff and wondering why you can't hear him. You're blocking him out, whether you know it or not. But I'm here, the grown up in the room, to say, change your tone of listening. Your dad's right beside you. Allow him to speak to you. Allow him, listen, and then take it. Ask him, show me something outside. Let me go turn over a rock. Let me go find a feather. Give me something that I know it's But the thing is with her father, he had told her things that she was like, oh. But she didn't think it was real. She thought it was her own thoughts. She didn't know that she had, quote, heard the message from her dad. So when I told her very similar things without even having a conversation with her, and I gave her the message, she was like, well, she already knew that, I'm kind of crazy this way, but it was like, But how could you know that? You didn't even know I had the dream. How could you have known? I asked my dad that question because he told me, honey, and I'm reporting back to you. You want to know whether or not your dad's around? He just told me to tell you. Listen to it. He's already told you things. Are you paying attention? No, I thought that was just in my head. I thought that was just a dream. Well, maybe sometimes people come to you in dreams. Are you paying attention? Are you listening? Do you want to listen to his voice? All these revelations and realizations and things to her was like, talk about an oh my God moment. She'd been hearing her dad, but would refuse to believe that it was actually him. And it had to come through a third party, if you will, to go, your dad's sending you shit in your dreams. Why won't you pay attention? You keep complaining that he won't come and talk to you, and you refuse to listen to when he does. How'd you know that? Because he told me. That's the kind of proof I'm talking about. That's the kind of thing. It's like, okay, I can prove that I had this conversation with Sandy because I was able to relate it and their kids gave me feedback. Now, can that happen every time? But you can look for similar things and ask them. They will give it to you. If it's the true spirit, if it's a true message, they will also give you a physical sign that what they told you is correct. But you got to ask them. And you got to look for it. You got to be aware that, well, I may be getting a message soon. Just, you don't have to look, but be aware. And when you're aware of it, when your eye catches it, you're going to get I always get a tap on the left shoulder. Yo, hey, over here. What's that? Walk over there, Dave, and all right, let me see. Oh, some bits, there's 2 feathers. There you go. Hawkeye, 2 feathers. There you go. Everybody's got their own way. But anytime you go out there into that other realm, you've got to protect yourself. You must be careful. Do not allow anybody in yourself in the channeling, not even if it's a relative. This is just a plumb stupid idea. But can you channel your own angel and your own spirit guide? Yes, but they don't take over your body. They will speak through you while you're awake. I hear something right now, and it's like, yeah, tell these people to keep holding their energy close inside, and for the protection when they may seem to have a tendency to wander in dreams, which we are just apt to do. So, I'm just getting that right now. Tell people to be careful when they're walking in their dreams. Some folks are trying some astral projection. Very similar. There's stuff out there. So I'm getting this download right now. I know where it's coming from. I know the right frequency. I can hear the voice. I understand it. And it's please be cautious. So I know when my messages are real. With practice, everyone else will too. And that's part of this awakening. That's a part of Shamanism 101. Find your spirit guide. Have conversation with them. Make sure it's them every time. Now, I've had some stand-ins. I got to say, I had this, I think it was a lady, and it was after my drowning in the river kind of thing. And my spirit guide was just like really pissed off at me. And I had a walk-in, if you will. And the walk-in was like this other spirit. But she was motherly in that, you know what? I'm going to tell you what you've been through. I didn't really have a mother to hold me, and comfort me. No, it was like, wow, tell you're hurt. Get up, get out of here. No tender loving care there. But to the point though, it's like, Dave, your spirit's been hurt or maybe been hurt physically. Look, pet me on the head and give me a little bit of cooing, motherly love. But then with the same point, should give me some more motherly love. Now, get off your ass and do something about that. Okay, you can have a time to mourn or take a day off and cogitate it, but get your ass up and do something about it. Yes, sorry you got hurt. Sorry, yes. Come on, honey. Come on, Dave. Give me a hug here. Okay. But now get your ass up and let's get moving. So much love. And for a while, I needed that stand-in guardian angel, if you will. And then I reached a particular point when it was like I understood that the motherly love was on a completely different level scale. I was during having a lot of the issues with the different medicines and so forth, and my mind was quite really cloudy, crazy, and nutso because of all the chemicals. And I didn't know which thought was real or not real, or drug induced or not, or so it was like, okay, confusion. So during that period of time, for about 2 years, there was this other guardian angel, and it was a feminine type. Like I say, it was like, come on, okay, Hawkeye, come here, let me give you a hug, but get your ass up and go back to work. Yes, I love you, but come on. And so then there was some point I realized I was kind of like, sitting around like, spirit guide, what? And there was like a switch. And it was like, wait a minute. And it was the really strong, like, sure enough, male dude, come on, let's go fight the world kind of deal, who was compassionate and is compassionate. But he was like, all right, now you've had enough motherly love. You know that love is out there in the cosmos for you all the time. So then rather than I need a hug every 7, this is new to me. Oh, I need a hug. And I was very needy back then. But then after I got over the neediness and the motherly love of that angelic being who helped me those 2-ish kind of years through that particular spot, I realized, oh my God, I've got all this strength. And now the guy could come back in and mama could go home and work with some other, children that needed a little bit of, motherly angel love, but now I got a very strong personage with, come on, let's go kick some ass, Dave. Get your ass up. Come on, let's go for a walk in the woods. Let's get up in the middle of the night and do this damn video. So it's like very strong entity, but a kind one. And we've got we've worked our relationship out. Yeah, I'm getting the laughter going, ha, 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 you think we worked this out. But, it's a good joke all the way around. And I'm never alone. There I went through a big period where I was alone, and I'm still, nobody comes to visit me very often. And, I usually get phone calls that, like earlier, I got a phone call from my friend who I need to call back, but I very seldom, it's just random callers trying to sell me shit. Once out of 30 calls will be from somebody who actually wants to speak to me, and it's like, well, that's nice. But to the point though, I was always lonely, live out here. Oh, woe is me. I don't have that anymore. But I had to have this angel step in for a couple of years and help me through that trauma, which went way back to my childhood, really deep, did some serious, internal homework. But now I'm over that. Now I understand that these angelic beings, with all the love and the love of the universe, is always there. I'm never alone anymore. My spirit guide, even though he may be asleep or taking a break, all I got to do is go, when you're ready, come on back here. I need a little help. Or I might say, okay, spirit guide, yeah, it's cool for the day. Take the weekend off. I'm going to watch TV or something. But to the point though, I say this, to be a little flippant, I guess, maybe to some people, but that's my relationship with my spirit guide. Have a little humor in life, So big time butt cramp. And all you all folks are absolutely lovely. I hope this has made some sense. But please, please, I beg you, speak to other people about this subject who are trying to get into this and who are trying to want to channel. Stop them, please, and try to talk some sense into them, because this is not what they need to do. The type of channeling that they're doing isn't what they should be doing. Just explain. Go through your spirit guide. If you lose your consciousness and you just feel then they're overtaking you, and that's the last thing you want. You don't want any being's residual energy inside of yours. How can you keep your own energy clear if you're inviting other critters to come in and dirty up your room? They're bringing muddy shoes into your temple, which is you, your soul, your kundalini, your whatever, your aura, and you want these creatures with muddy feet, dirtying up the temple, which is you. Are you sure? Are they going to clean up before they leave? Are they going to leave a residual trace? Absolutely. So be careful, my friends. Be sweet, be kind. Have a great weekend. I love you, Juan. Hocus Pocus should have been a TV series. Actually, I think there was a show for a short time. There was a pilot that it was Hocus Pocus. People wouldn't have eaten that up and I shall spell on you. Catchy song. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I put a spell on you. Yeah, yeah. I grew up in that era too. Quartz, quantum, QQ. But to the point, yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. And these folks who are tuning into these things, just tell them. You say, look, do what you want to do, but I fear for your life. And tell them, I fear for your life. I fear for your well-being. You're in areas that you may not should be in, period. Do what you want to, go ahead, but I love you, but I'm worried for you. And say it. Don't encourage them to continue on with whatever they're doing in this. So be the grown-up in the room, please. Also, continue spreading the love as I know all of you folks are doing. And you're such a wonderful job, and you have been such an inspiration to me in so many ways. You give me the courage to speak about these things when I know it's a tough subject. But I love everybody who's trying to learn and expand and do these things. But you got to listen to some of your elders and say, this might not be a really good idea, especially now that you're still in office. But when you look at us old timers, we all agree on one thing: don't do it. Pay attention, don't do it. And the little voice in the back of your head says, woo, I'm going to, I want to talk to Hitler. Don't do it. Listen to that voice. Don't do it. You know, don't do it. Please don't do it. All right. I'm repeating myself exponentially now. It's the middle of the night. It's almost it's 1:30. Yay. So 2 hours? Holy crap. I've been at this 2 hours. Okay. Much love, you guys. Be safe. Oh, great talk, David. Thank you, Supernatural. And, I never ask folks to share my videos or anything, but if you know somebody who's like involved, then share this. Tell them come talk to me. Let them do a live hangout. Let's have a conversation, because I'm worried about these folks. I really am. And you should be too. So blessings, blessings, blessings. Later, Marie, Super Quartz, and everybody else, blessings every single day to you folks. You brighten up my day. You light up my life. And I'm being a little silly, but I'm also being serious. So my ending prayer: I hope that every one of you and your relations and all of your relatives and family and friends will accept and receive the healing from the universe, and that you will accept and receive the knowledge and the downloads and the healing from the universe, and that you will pass it on in your life in any way that you can. I pray this every single day, sometimes many times a day, that all of you and all of your friends and all of our relatives and everybody will just understand this one thing: that source is always open. It's always there. It's for everyone. None of us need to be lonely. And so with that, I say, with honor and respect to all of you and for what you do in your lives, thank you. Good night. Good morning from here on the East Coast of the United States. Be careful, Miss Marie. Talk to you all later. And until next time, with my love and honor to you and yours, butt crack, butt crack.